The rain came down in thin, silver threads, painting the city in reflections. Headlights shimmered across wet asphalt as people hurried beneath umbrellas. But inside a glass-walled cafe, Lily Hartman barely noticed the storm. She sat alone by the window, stirring her untouched latte, her diamond bracelet glinting faintly under the soft, amber lights. Everything about her was polished, the white coat, the glossy hair, the perfect posture, yet her eyes carried the quiet ache of someone who'd had everything except peace. Outside, a girl around her age ran past the window, barefoot, clutching a torn grocery bag. Water splashed up her jeans, soaking her through, but she kept moving, laughing as the rain drenched her hair. Lily stayed, mesmerized. For a moment, envy bloomed in her chest. That laugh, it sounded free. Her phone buzzed. A message from her father. Dinner at the Carlton. 7 sharp. Bring your smile this time. She sighed, glancing once more at the drenched girl sprinting down the street. Something about her, the wildness, the unguarded joy, felt magnetic. Lily didn't know that within 48 hours, their worlds would collide in a way that would change them both forever. Before we dive deeper, tell me, where in the world are you watching from? It amazes me how far a single story can travel. Drop your city. Let's see how wide kindness still spreads. The next morning, the city woke to a wash-clean sky. Maya Rivers stood in line at a bakery, her hands cold from the early air. She worked 2 jobs, one before school, one after. Every coin mattered. The warm scent of bread filled the shop as she collected a tray of day-old pastries, her breakfast for the week. Across town, Lily sat in the backseat of a black car, scrolling mindlessly through photos. Paris trip, Maldives, charity gala. They all blurred together, a glossy parade of smiles that never reached her eyes. Her driver cleared his throat softly. Miss Hartman, we're passing through Eastview. Should I take the long route? She hesitated. No, take the short one. I want to see something. Eastview was Maya's neighborhood, rows of faded houses, children playing barefoot, mothers hanging laundry beneath cracked balconies. The car rolled to a stop at a red light, and Lily's gaze caught Maya again. Same dark coals, same spark. She was helping a little boy tie his shoe, kneeling on the pavement with such tenderness that Lily felt something stir inside her chest. Later that evening, fate did what stories do best. It tangled their lines. Lily's car broke down near Eastview. Maya, passing by, noticed her struggling with a hood and offered help. You lost or just pretending to fix it, she teased, wiping grease off her fingers. Lily laughed for the first time in weeks. I guess both. They ended up walking together, talking about everything, how different their lives were, yet how similar their dreams sounded when stripped of wealth and worry. Maya spoke about wanting to study design. Lily confessed she wished she could just be anonymous for a day. Want to trade places. Then, Maya said jokingly. Lily smiled. Maybe I do. But jokes have power when hearts mean them more than words admit. That night, an idea bloomed wild between them. A ridiculous, reckless plan. 2 days. 2 lives. No one would know. Maya would live Lily's life of luxury, and Lily would walk in Maya's world of simplicity. They promised not to contact anyone. Just 2 girls switching everything. Names, clothes, phones. At midnight, under the flickering streetlight near the old bridge, they shook hands, both laughing, both trembling. Neither knew that this decision would unravel every illusion they'd ever built about happiness. The morning sun filtered through thin curtains, softer, humbler light than any Lily had ever woken under. She blinked against it, disoriented, then realized the ceiling above her wasn't her own. The air smelled faintly of detergent and warm bread. Somewhere outside, someone was humming. For the first time, she wasn't in her silk sheets or on her memory foam mattress. She was in Maya's world. A soft knock came at the door. Maya, you're gonna be late for work, a woman's voice called. Lily fumbled for words. Coming. She dressed in borrowed jeans and an oversized hoodie, her hands shaking slightly. In the cracked mirror, she almost didn't recognize herself. She smiled, not perfectly, but genuinely. Downstairs, Maya's mother, thin, warm-eyed, and tired, handed her a lunchbox wrapped in foil. I packed an extra sandwich. Sweetheart. Share it with that security guard. Okay? He never eats breakfast. Lily hesitated, watching the woman's kindness. Her father's staff never even looked her in the eye, let alone packed her food with love. Outside, the neighborhood was alive, dogs barking, radios playing old songs, people shouting good mornings across balconies. It was messy, loud, human, and she loved it already. She walked to the nearby market where Maya worked part-time stacking fruit crates. The owner, Mr. Patel, smiled at her. "You're early today, Maya. Good sign." Lily forced a smile, pretending she knew what to do. Her hands trembled as she lifted a crate, heavy, rough on her skin. By noon, her arms ached, and her throat felt dry. Yet something about it felt honest. Her effort meant something here. During her break, she noticed the old security guard sitting alone on the bench, clutching his empty stomach. Remembering Maya's mother's words, she opened her foil lunch and offered half. He looked surprised. "Are you sure? Child? You look like you need it more." Lily smiled softly. "Please. My mom would scold me if I didn't share." He laughed, a deep, grateful sound, and took the sandwich. For a fleeting second, Lily felt something she'd never known before, the quiet joy of giving without being seen. If you were there in that moment, what would you have done? Be honest. Comment your answer below. And if words fail you, just hit like to prove that compassion still matters. Meanwhile, across the city, Maya, now in Lily's sprawling mansion, stood frozen before a closet bigger than her entire bedroom. Dresses shimmered like captured sunlight. Her breath caught as she touched one, silk, smooth as water. A maid entered. "Miss Hartman, breakfast is served." Maya turned, blinking. "Right. Thanks." At the long dining table, she felt smaller than ever. Lily's father glanced up from his tablet. "You look different today." Maya smiled awkwardly. "Maybe I'm just trying to look more like myself." He barely nodded. "Good. There's a charity event tonight. Smile for the cameras. Don't talk too much." The words stung, though they weren't even meant for her. She ate quietly, noticing how silence filled the house like a fog. Every luxury screamed emptiness. Later, she wandered through Lily's enormous garden, manicured roses, fountains whispering secrets. Yet she felt lonely. No neighbors laughed from balconies here. No one shouted good mornings. In the afternoon, a gardener accidentally dropped his tools, cutting his hand. Without thinking, Maya rushed over. "Let me help." She tore a strip from her scarf, pressing it to the wound. The man looked stunned. "Miss, you shouldn't." She smiled softly. "Why not? Blood looks the same no matter how rich we are." The gardener's eyes filled with tears. No one from the mansion had ever spoken to him that way. As the sun dipped, painting the sky with gold and violet, both girls, miles apart, were unknowingly transforming. Lily was discovering meaning in simplicity, while Maya was uncovering the loneliness hidden beneath privilege. That night, they lay in their separate borrowed beds, hearts racing with questions neither could answer yet. Lily whispered to the dark, "What have I been missing all my life?" Maya, far away, whispered back without knowing, "What have I been chasing all mine?" And somewhere in between, in that invisible line where their worlds met, something beautiful was beginning to grow. The next morning, the air was heavy with the scent of rain-soaked earth and sizzling street food. Lily walked through Eastview's narrow lanes, a borrowed tote slung over her shoulder, her shoes already dusted with mud. But today, she wasn't bothered. For the first time, she felt invisible, wonderfully, beautifully invisible. No bodyguards, no cameras, no expectations. At the fruit stand, Mr. Patel waved. "Maya, you're glowing today. What's the secret?" Lily laughed softly. "Just slept better, maybe." But deep down, it wasn't sleep. It was belonging, something she'd never felt in her golden cage. A little boy tugged at her sleeve. "Maya, can I have the bruised apples again? The ones nobody buys." She handed him the small bag with a smile. "They taste the same. You know, don't let the bruises fool you." His grin was missing a tooth. "Like people." That stopped her. Lily blinked, then chuckled. "Exactly like people." As the day passed, she noticed things she had never paid attention to before. The old man who fixed radios for free, the stray dog everyone fed without owning, the laughter that rose from homes with broken roofs. There was poverty, yes, but also a kind of richness she'd never seen before. They didn't have much, but they shared everything. That evening, when she returned to Maya's small apartment, her hands raw and shoulders aching, she found Maya's mother waiting with soup and a tired smile. "You worked hard today," she said gently. "Maya always does." Lily hesitated. "You must be proud of her." The woman stirred the pot, sighing. "Proud, yes. Worried, too. This world isn't kind to girls who dream big." Lily looked down, her throat tightening. No one had ever said those words about her before. Worried for her, proud of her, believed in her dreams. For the first time, she felt what it was like to be loved without conditions. Have you ever had someone help you when no one else would? Write yes, and tell me their name. Maybe gratitude can travel further than we think. Across the city, in Lily's mansion, Maya stood before the mirror, adjusting her designer dress for the charity gala. The silk shimmered, but her reflection felt foreign. Still, she took a deep breath. She had promised Lily to live this fully. The ballroom glittered like a dream. Chandeliers dripping light, champagne glasses clinking, laughter floating through perfumed air. Cameras flashed as Lily's father guided her toward a group of guests. "This is my daughter, Lily," he said proudly. Top of her class, talented, poised, everything the Hartman legacy stands for. Maya smiled, her heart thudding. Every compliment felt borrowed. She knew she wasn't supposed to be here, not really. But something in her chest whispered, maybe I can belong anywhere if I stay kind. A waiter stumbled nearby, nearly spilling his tray. Without thinking, Maya reached out and steadied him. "Careful," she said softly. "You okay?" The young waiter nodded, startled. "Thank you, miss. I'm sorry. Don't be," she interrupted. "Accidents happen. Just breathe." He gave her a look she'd never forget, a mixture of gratitude and disbelief, as if someone had finally seen him in a room full of invisible people. Later, when Maya sat alone near the edge of the crowd, she overheard two guests whispering. "Strange, isn't it? The Hartman girl being nice to the help. Probably just for the cameras." The words burned, but she smiled anyway, lifting her glass high and pretending not to care. But deep down, she did. She cared because she finally understood what Lily had been running from, the emptiness of a life lived only for appearances. Meanwhile, Lily, miles away, was washing dishes by hand in Maya's kitchen. She watched the soap bubbles cling to her fingers, the warmth of the water, the distant laughter of neighbors, and she smiled. It was strange, the richest girl in the city feeling richer than ever in a place that had almost nothing. That night, under the same moonlight, both girls whispered prayers neither of them had spoken in years, quiet words of hope, gratitude, and confusion. They didn't know it yet, but their switch wasn't just a game anymore. It was turning into something sacred, a lesson life had crafted just for them. The city breathed differently at dawn, slower, softer, like it was holding its breath between yesterday's chaos and today's unknown. Lily woke before the alarm, the thin blanket tangled around her legs, her muscles aching from another long day. She sat up, stretching, and smiled faintly at the quiet around her. No maids knocking. No schedule dictated by assistants. Just a hum of early life outside her window. Street vendors setting up stalls. Distant laughter. A world moving without pretending. She stepped outside, the morning chill brushing her skin. A small boy, the same one from the fruit stand, was sitting on the curb, clutching a torn backpack. His face looked pale. "Hey!" Lily knelt down. "What's wrong?" He hesitated. I can't go to school today. My shoes broke, and Mom said she can't buy new ones this month." The words landed heavy in her chest. She looked down at his bare, dirty toes, then at her own borrowed sneakers. They weren't hers anyway. Without thinking, she unlaced them and placed them gently in front of him. "Take them." His eyes widened. "No, those are yours." Lily smiled. "Not really. I just borrowed them. And you need them more than I do." The boy shook his head, tears forming. "But what about you?" She looked down at her sock-covered feet, already damp from the street, and shrugged. I'll manage. The ground doesn't hurt as much as you think. He hugged her suddenly, tight, fierce, full of gratitude too big for words. And in that moment, Lily realized something profound. Giving wasn't about having plenty. It was about feeling enough. She walked home barefoot, her feet cold but her heart warm, and the neighbors smiled as she passed. Some nodded in quiet respect. Others whispered, "That's Maya's kindness. It runs in the family." She didn't correct them. She didn't need to. Now it's your turn. Share one small good thing you did recently. Write it below so others remember that humanity still lives. Your story might light someone's path tonight. Across the city, Maya stood in front of the enormous mirror in Lily's bedroom, trying to fit into her world. The luxury still felt foreign, but she was beginning to see through it, the loneliness between polished walls, the echo of footsteps in marble halls. Lily's father was sitting in his study, frowning at his phone. Maya lingered at the doorway. "So?" He glanced up, distracted. "You haven't eaten since morning," she said gently. "Should I call the chef to bring something?" He blinked, surprised. "Notice that." Maya smiled. "Someone should." For a moment, his expression softened, a brief flash of the father he once might have been. "I used to eat with her mother at this hour," he murmured, "before work took over." Maya stepped closer. "Maybe tonight you could again. I mean, eat with me." He looked at her, really looked, and nodded slowly. "Maybe I should." That night, they dined together in the vast, silent dining room. Maya told stories about school projects and friends, painting color into the gray air. And though she was pretending to be Lily, every laugh she shared was real. For the first time in years, the old man smiled. "You know," he said quietly, "you remind me of your mother. She believed kindness was strength." Maya's eyes shimmered. She was right. Later, when she walked the empty hall, she found herself standing before a framed photo, Lily as a child, held by her smiling mother. Dust gathered at the frame's edges. Maya reached out and wiped it clean. "She misses you," Maya whispered to the photo. "But maybe now she's remembering who she is." Back in Eastview, Lily sat on the apartment floor, helping Maya's little brother with homework. He looked up at her with wide eyes. "You're not like before, sis. You're different." She smiled. "Maybe I just see things better now." As the night deepened, both girls found themselves under the same moon again, miles apart but bound by an invisible thread, the kind that only kindness can weave. They were learning, healing, becoming. But stories, like hearts, need breaking before they can open fully. And soon, both would face truths far heavier than they ever expected. By the end of the second day, the world began to blur between who they were and who they had become. Lily, barefoot, tired, and content, walked through Eastview with a basket of groceries balanced against her hip. Every face she passed now felt familiar, every smile returned. But behind those smiles, she began to notice something she hadn't before: exhaustion, fear, quiet sacrifices hidden behind cheerful masks. She stopped by Mr. Patel's store to pay for bread, but he waved her hand away. "You've been helping everyone. Maya, take it. No charge today." Lily frowned. "I can't." "You can," he said gently. "Kindness comes back in circles, child." She hesitated, then smiled, realizing this was a currency richer than gold, the unspoken trade of care among the struggling. But as dusk settled, a siren wailed somewhere far off, a sound that always seemed to pierce through Eastview like a blade. Lily turned, heart quickening, as people began rushing toward the street corner. She followed. There, an ambulance's lights flickered against the rain-wet pavement. A young delivery man, maybe 17, lay unconscious. His scooter was bent like a paperclip. The crowd murmured helplessly. Lily's breath caught. "Has anyone called his family?" "No one knows his name," someone said. She knelt beside him, her trembling hands brushing his bruised forehead. His pulse fluttered weakly beneath her touch. She looked around. People were filming, whispering, waiting. But no one was doing. "Please," she shouted. "We need to help him." A man replied, "That's not our problem." Something inside her snapped. "Then make it mine." She tore her scarf, pressing it against the boy's wound. "Hang in there," she whispered, her tears mixing with the rain. "You're not alone." When the paramedics arrived minutes later, they found her still holding his hand. She didn't know him, but she knew the feeling, being hurt and unseen. As the ambulance doors closed, one of the medics nodded at her. "You probably saved his life." Lily stood in the rain long after they drove away, her feet numb, her soul raw. She had never felt so powerless, yet so human. If that moment hit you hard, leave a red heart hash. Sometimes one little symbol says what our hearts can't. Across the city, in the mansion glowing like glass under chandeliers, Maya's world was unraveling in silence. Dinner with Mr. Hartman had become a fragile ritual. Tonight, though, he was distracted, pacing with his phone pressed to his ear. "No, I said no investments till Monday. We're already under pressure from the board." He stopped mid-sentence, clutching his chest. The sound of glass breaking. His wine glass fell, crimson spilling like blood across the marble. "Mr. Hartman." Maya ran to him. "Sir, please, can you hear me?" He gasped, collapsing into the chair. Panic surged through her. Without thinking, she grabbed his phone, dialing emergency. Her voice trembled, tears rising. "He's having chest pain. Please hurry." Minutes later, paramedics rushed in. Maya held his hand, whispering, "Stay with me. You're not alone. Please." When they took him away, she sat frozen in the now silent mansion, her heart pounding against her ribs. This wasn't supposed to happen. Not during their game. Not like this. She wanted to call Lily, to break their rule, to end the switch. But she couldn't. That night, she waited in the hospital corridor, pacing, praying. The doctor emerged hours later. "He's stable now," he said gently. "You save him by calling early." Relief flooded her, but so did guilt. She wasn't his daughter. She had no right to be here, no right to care so deeply. Yet she did. She sat by his bed until morning, whispering stories of gratitude and forgiveness, stories Lily's father would never remember her telling, but that Maya needed him to hear. When his fingers weakly found Hayes, she squeezed back, eyes glistening. In that fragile touch, something unspoken passed between them, a bridge between two broken souls, neither of whom had been seen in far too long. And miles away, Lily, lying awake on Maya's creaky bed, suddenly felt tears slide down her cheek. She didn't know why, only that someone she'd never met was in pain, and somehow she felt it too. Their lives, once so separate, were now intertwined by invisible threads of grace and grief. And though neither could see it, the world around them had begun to shift, preparing for the truth that would soon tear them both open. The morning light crept across the city, quiet and indifferent, as if unaware of the storm brewing inside two borrowed hearts. Lily sat by the small kitchen window in Eastview, her hands wrapped around a chipped mug of tea. She hadn't slept. Her mind kept replaying the boy's face from the night before, the fear, the helplessness, the pulse she'd held onto like it was her own. But something else gnawed at her too, an ache that didn't belong to her world, an ache she couldn't name until her phone buzzed. It was Maya's phone, technically. A message from an unknown number lit up the cracked screen. "Mr. Hartman stable now. You can visit soon." Her chest tightened. She froze. Mr. Hartman, her father. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. The mug slipped from her hands, shattering on the floor. Her father had been in the hospital, and she hadn't even known. Maya had been there instead, caring, comforting, being the daughter she should have been. Lily grabbed the nearest coat, ignoring the confused voices of Maya's neighbors as she sprinted through the rain. Her feet splashed through puddles, her lungs burning. All she could think was, "What have I done?" When she finally reached the hospital, she stopped at the door of his room. Through the glass, she saw Maya sitting beside the bed, her head bowed in exhaustion, her hand resting lightly on his. Her father, pale, frail, vulnerable, was asleep. For a long moment, Lily just watched them. The scene was so tender, so unfamiliar, that it broke something deep inside her. She had spent years running from him, from their cold, brittle relationship, yet here was a stranger offering the warmth she never had. She wanted to burst in, to reclaim her place, to confess everything, but guilt rooted her in place. Maya had done what she hadn't. She'd been there. Finally, she turned away, her breath shaky. Be honest. Could you forgive after what they did? Type forgive if you could, or never if it would break you too deeply. That night, Lily sat alone on a park bench outside the hospital, her hair drenched, her heart heavy. The city light shimmered like fractured stars through her tears. When Maya finally stepped out, exhaustion written across her face, she froze at the sight of her, Lily, the real Lily, sitting there, trembling. Lily, she whispered. Lily stood, her voice cracking. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you call? Maya looked down. Because it wasn't my place to ruin what you wanted. You said, no contact. 2 days, remember? But he could have died. Lily shouted, voice breaking. He's my father, Maya. Maya's eyes glistened. Then why weren't you there before I was? The words hit like a blade, sharp, true, merciless. Lily's shoulders shook. Because I was tired. Of pretending. Of being perfect. Of him only noticing when I failed. Maya's tone softened. Maybe he's tired too. Sometimes people build walls not to shut others out, but to survive what's inside. Silence hung heavy between them, the kind that only honesty can leave behind. Finally, Lily stepped closer. You shouldn't have had to carry my pain for me. And you shouldn't have had to run from it, Maya whispered. We both broke rules. Maybe that's okay. A small, trembling smile tugged at Lily's lips. You were better at being me than I ever was. Maya shook her head. No, I just got to see what you couldn't, that your life was already worth living. You just forgot how. The rain softened into a drizzle, and Lily exhaled, closing the distance between them. She reached out, gripping Maya's hands. I'm sorry. For everything. For being blind, selfish, lost. Maya's eyes shimmered. And I'm sorry for pretending I belonged in your world. I only wanted to see what it felt like to breathe without worry. They stood there, 2 girls bound by a mistake that had somehow healed them both. For a long moment, there were no tears, no anger, just understanding. The kind that feels like forgiveness wrapped in rain. When the clouds finally parted, the hospital lights glowed behind them like a promise. Fragile but real. And for the first time, neither of them felt alone. Morning spilled softly over the hospital courtyard, painting everything in pale gold. The storm had passed, but its memory still lingered in the puddles along the road. Lily and Maya sat side by side on the bench outside, the silence between them now calm, no longer sharp or filled with regret. They didn't need to speak to understand that something had shifted inside both of them. Lily looked up at the building's tall windows. He used to bring me here when I was little, she murmured. After Mom died, he just stopped looking at me the same. I thought I reminded him of what he lost. Maya listened quietly, her fingers tracing the seam of her jeans. Maybe he stopped looking because it hurt too much, she said gently. Sometimes love hides behind distance, like it protecting itself. Lily's throat tightened. You sound like you've lived 100 lives. Maya smiled faintly. Maybe I just lived one that taught me how fragile people are. They sat there as the city woke, buses roaring, birds scattering across the sky, nurses walking in and out of the building with tired smiles. Somewhere inside, Mr. Hartman was resting peacefully. Maya had visited earlier to check on him. He'd asked for Lily next. Lily stood, brushing off her coat. Will you come with me? Maya nodded. If you want me to. Inside, the room smelled faintly of antiseptic and flowers. Her father lay still, a weak smile tugging at his lips when he saw her. Lily, he whispered. Her eyes flooded instantly. Hi, Dad. He reached out, his hand trembling, and she took it, carefully, as though holding something fragile. That girl, he murmured, glancing at Maya. She stayed with me all night, told me stories, reminded me of your mother. Lily turned toward Maya, her voice breaking. I know. She's a good person. Her father's gaze softened. You both are. Maybe you were meant to find each other. Lily's heart swelled with gratitude and guilt. I'm sorry for disappearing, she whispered, for making you feel like you'd lost me too. He shook his head weakly. No, I lost myself. You just reminded me how to see again. Maya turned away, wiping her tears silently. The scene before her was everything she had dreamed of, a family mending, a love rediscovered. But it also reminded her that her part in this story was ending. She stepped toward the door, whispering, "I'll wait outside." Lily caught her hand. "No, stay." Together, they stood by the bedside, two girls bound by something deeper than circumstance, empathy. Outside the window, light spilled through the clouds. It touched their faces, warm and soft, like a quiet benediction. The world hadn't changed, but they had. Later, as they left the hospital, Maya stopped near the garden. Children were chasing pigeons, laughter ringing through the air. She turned to Lily. "You know, when we made that deal, I thought it would just be fun, a story to tell. But now, I don't even know who I am anymore." Lily smiled, a gentle sadness in her eyes. "Maybe that's the point. You found yourself by being someone else." Maya exhaled shakily. "And you?" "I found home," Lily said softly. "Not a place. Just people who feel real." They stood in silence, the kind that doesn't need to end. If you believe love still wins, comment amen. Let's fill this section with hope. Maybe someone scrolling right now needs to see it. That evening, they returned to Eastview one last time. The streets glowed under golden streetlights, and laughter floated from open windows. The air felt warmer, fuller. Lily looked around, her heart heavy with goodbye. "I'll miss this place," she whispered. Maya smiled. "You'll visit." "Only if you promise to visit mine," Lily replied. They exchanged phones again, the last symbol of their temporary trade. As their fingers brushed, they both laughed softly, remembering how absurd it all had seemed just 2 days ago. "I never thought a billionaire's daughter would cry over leaving my old sneakers," Maya teased gently. Lily chuckled, wiping her eyes. "They're not just sneakers anymore. They're reminders of what's real." For a moment, they just stood there, watching the city breathe. No more pretending, no more walls, just two girls who had walked through each other's pain and come out carrying light. But before they could part, Maya's mother stepped out, her smile tired but warm. "Stay for dinner, both of you," she said. "Rain or shine, nobody leaves my table hungry." And so they did. They ate, laughed, and cried, a small family of strangers who somehow belonged to each other now. The kind of night that leaves no photographs, only memories that live quietly in the soul. When Lily finally stepped out into the evening air, she turned to Maya and whispered, "Thank you for showing me the world I was blind to." Maya smiled back, "And thank you for letting me dream in color." The streetlights flickered overhead, and somewhere far away, thunder rumbled like the echo of an old story ending gently.